Hello, my little mathematicians. Today, I'm going to help you get started on page 36. So if you look up at the top section, it wants us to find the reciprocal of each of these numbers. A reciprocal is basically just a fraction flipped, okay? So the numerator goes down to the denominator, and the denominator becomes the numerator. So 1/6, the reciprocal of that is 6 over 1. What does 6 over 1 simplify to? 6. Now remember, if you want to try some of these yourself first, pause the video, try it, and then unpause it and come back and join us. Okay, the next one I'm going to try is 10. Okay, so again, if you want to try it, pause it, and then unpause it and check. Okay, when you did the reciprocal of 7/4, what did you get? Hopefully you got 4/7 because the 4 went up and the 7 went down. Why do we practice finding the reciprocal, or why do we need to know what that is? Well, your teacher might have said this little phrase to you when you're dividing fractions of keep, change, flip, okay? Keep, change, flip means we keep the first fraction the same, we change division to multiplication, and we flip that second fraction. When you flip that second fraction, it's really multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, that seems weird. Let me show you what's happening, okay? So I'll start with something that you already know how to do. We'll use whole numbers of, let's say, 8 divided by 2. Okay, you know that 8 divided by 2 is going to be what? Yeah, 4. Okay, but let's say instead that this was a fraction. How do you change a whole number to a fraction? You just put it over 1, right? Isn't 8 over 1 just 8? And how do you make 2 a fraction then? Yeah, you put 2 over 1 because 2 over 1 or 2 divided by 1 is still just 2. So I rewrote 8 as 8 over 1 and 2 as 2 over 1, but they're still saying the same thing. We know that the answer should be 4, but looking at it right here, you're like, wait, how does that work? Well, if we do keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip that second fraction, where 2 over 1 becomes 1 over half, 1 over 2. Now I have 8 times 1/2. And so then just multiply across. 8 times 1 is 8. And on bottom, you have 1 times 2 is 2. What is 8 divided by 2? 4. So when you do 8 divided by 2, you're really doing 8 times a half. You just don't even think about it. Because they're whole numbers, it's easier to just do it in your head that way, right? But essentially, we are still doing the same thing of a fraction times the reciprocal of the original one. Okay, so I'm going to use that same logic for this problem right here. Okay, so I have 12 divided by 3/8. Again, why don't you try it yourself first and then unpause the video and see if you can get it right. Okay, so you unpause the video, you're back with us now. And to make this whole number a fraction, I'm going to put it over 1. Okay, so now I have a singular fraction and a singular fraction. So once I have that, I do keep, which keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip that second fraction. Okay, when I multiply across, I get 12 times 8 is 96, and 1 times 3 is 3. But then I would have to do 96 divided by 3, and 3 goes into 96. Well, it goes in 9 times. And 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down the 6. And 3 goes into 6 twice. So you get 32. Okay? Then, if you look at this and you're like, wait a minute, I got 32, but I didn't do it that way. I cross-canceled. Okay, you know what? That's actually easier sometimes because that's a really big number, right? So cross-canceling, what you do is you look at the numbers diagonally across from each other and you see if they can reduce. Well, what can go into 3 and 12? Yeah, 3 can. Because 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then now that you have smaller numbers, you would multiply across, And on top, you get 4 times 8 is 32. And on bottom, you have 1 times 1 is 1. And 32 over 1 is just 32. In my opinion, it's easier to cross cancel. You just get smaller numbers and then don't have to reduce later. But if you want, you can just not cross cancel and multiply straight across, but then you might have to deal with really big numbers. Okay, let's try one more together. Number 18. Again, try it yourself first, then come back to check to see if you got it right. Okay, you unpaused it and you're back with us. So I need to first make sure I have a single fraction divided by a single fraction. This is already good, but this one I need to make a fraction, so let's put it over 1. Now, keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip that second fraction. If you multiplied across, you got 2, and on bottom you got 10, which then I would reduce by what? Yeah, 2. And on top, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And on bottom, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this reduces to 1/5. Some of you cross-canceled at the beginning or reduced. And so I look to see what can go into both 2 and 2. 2 can, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Then when you multiply across on top, you got 1 times 1 is 1, and 5 times 1 is 5. So when you cross cancel, sometimes it makes it a lot easier that you just get to the final answer faster. Okay, but again, you don't have to. In my opinion, it just makes it easier. You got this. Continue on to the rest of the problems, and you're going to do great.